Welcome to another episode of the Snug Wrestling Podcast. My name is Mr. Blood, and I'm joined, as always, with this incredible crew of gentlemen, minus one of our favorite people, Toxic, who just started back his school schedule, so you guys won't see Toxic for only a few weeks until he's back in the swing of things. But I'm joined, as always, with the incomparable Tommy and the phenomenal founder of this podcast, our fearless leader, Edgar. Now, we are here to review Monday Night Raw. This is the August 10th, 2026 edition that took place in Norfolk, Virginia. But before we get into the show, as always, we like to do a little check-in with the boys, see how everybody's doing, and let's give an overall, just quick generalization on how we felt about the show. Myself personally, I'm doing great, in a great mood. It's a good week. The weather's nice. I don't work outside, so I'm feeling great. And to all of our fans who might be under the age of 18 who are going back to school, I do hope you guys have a great first week back and enjoy yourselves and focus on your studies and make sure to always stay in school, eat your vegetables, take your vitamins, whether that works for you, brother, or not. But for me, I thought that Monday Night Raw tonight was a kind of middle of the road show. If I were to rate it out of 5, I'd give it a 3. Nothing really substantial of note happened tonight other than moving maybe one or two stories forward that were actually of interest. And of course, there was a little bit of a contendership tournament match happening tonight, but mostly everything that floated around really revolved around the Bloodline story, but we're going to get into that. So let's check in with Tommy and then Edgar, and let's see how everybody did with tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. Just quickly tell the fans how you're doing.
Overall, feeling pretty good. I got to take my little girlfriend on a date. Just went out for a couple of hours in this Illinois heat, in which I wasn't expecting when we originally planned it. But hey, heat is heat. It's what's going to end up being the summer for me, unfortunately. But before we start off with anything, I would gladly like to say a big congratulations to good old Bianca Belair and Montez Ford on the birth of their son now. So she's good. Hopefully she'll come back eventually. But overall, feeling good. But I honestly feel the exact same way that Blood does. It was kind of middle of the road for me.
You're muted, brother.
Damn, thank you. Sorry about that, y'all. What's good, everybody? Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing better. I was feeling like shit all last week, but I'm feeling better today. I'm not back to my usual 100%, but slowly but surely I will get back to my regular self. And I enjoyed Monday Night Raw tonight. It was a little bit shorter episode than usual. I think it was about like 2 hours, 10 or 15 minutes or something like that. There was a few things that I was really looking forward to. The start of the number one contender AAA tournament, to see who's going to face Roman, all the best luchadors from Raw, SmackDown, and AAA. So that was cool to see, as well as some of the other unexpected stuff that we saw on this episode of Monday Night Raw. Tonight, it flew by for me.
All right. It definitely didn't for me. I found myself checking in and out on quite a few of these matches and some of these segments. But speaking of segments, we opened up the show with Solo Sikoa coming out to a pretty good babyface reaction, I'd say, from the audience. They really like chanting his name right now, and he's hamming it up as always. But before he can really say anything, Jey Uso interrupts, and he comes out to the ring. And he asks Solo, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to do this, little brother? Jey says he needs Solo to fall in line. And Solo rebuttals, telling Jey, and what I thought was actually pretty good. Well, Jey, how'd that work out for you? Did you fall in line? Because I think you just fell off, mentioning how Jey used to be the champion, right? He had won the Royal Rumble. He had the adulation of all these fans, kids screaming his name, wanting him to run it back. Now, Solo also says that he loves where he's at right now in his career. He's never coming back to the bloodline. He feels free as a bird, and he's happy where he is. And then Jey drops some truth on him, which I really liked as well. Telling Solo, well, Solo, everything you have is because of me, because of Jimmy, because of Roman. We brought you in. You're able to feed your family because of us. You have that nice big ass house because of us. You are here living your dream because we brought you in here. And I thought it was amazing. Solo laughs it off, but then Jay says, you know what, screw it. I'm going to make a match. And Jay proposes a challenge. He tells Solo, you and me in the main event, but if I win, I'm hand delivering you to Roman Reigns and you're rejoining the bloodline. Solo says, okay, fine, you're on. But if I win, you guys have to leave me the hell alone. So what did you guys think of this overall segment? Me personally, I wasn't really excited at the prospect of seeing Jay versus Solo, mainly because I've seen them verse each other several times now. And I just feel like we do a bloodline thing once a year at this point. And as much as I still enjoy aspects of the bloodline, I don't think I needed to see this, but we got it. And that was the main event. But personally, I did think this segment did do a lot of good for Solo. It showed the back and the writers and the producers. This Solo babyface experiment appears to be working, and it seems to be working very, very well.
At first, when Solo started being a babyface, I was a little bit worried about it. I was a little bit iffy on it because I just couldn't see how that would work because I had seen him as a heel for so long with the Bloodline and then the fucking Bloodline 2.0, which ended up being a complete disaster. But as of now, I'm starting to love it. I really am. Just seeing Solo ham it up the way he does. And the fact that he just went, hey, if I win, y'all have to leave me the hell alone. And that's your warning shot. So him doing that final little gun thing, I found it absolutely hilarious and I love it. I'm really, really starting to love Solo Sikoa as a babyface. But we will talk about how that ended up in the main event.
Yeah, it seems like we're finally starting to see the full version of Solo Sikoa. Like we saw little bits of pieces of that when he was the leader of the MFTs, where he was showing a little bit of his personality, but now it feels like we're seeing it a lot more with the things that Tommy, you mentioned, like the little finger bang thing he was doing with the, pew pew,
Snug Wrestling does not promote finger banging in any form or fashion.
Well, no, he was pointing at the Usos and doing the gun gestures, the finger banging.
Too late to backtrack now. Snug, finger banging is officially out there on the Snug Wrestling podcast.
Well, that's what Solo was doing. And before all of that, I mean, I've always been a fan of Solo, right? I still love you, Solo. I love you, Solo, right? I always defended Solo, from a long time ago. So this opening segment, I was all for it. But they also mentioned something really important at the very, very beginning. They mentioned that Royce Keys is out indefinitely after the attack that he suffered from Jacob Fatu last week. And Solo Sikoa addressed that. He was like, I'm here because they took out my friend, the Bloodline took out my friend Royce Keys, and I'm here to handle some family business. They made they set up the match for the main event, Solo Sikoa versus Jey Uso. Yeah, man, I thought this was a great way to kick off Monday Night Raw.
Well, that led us into our first match of the evening, which was the first match in the #1 contendership tournament for Roman Reigns World Heavyweight Championship. Now, the caveat for this tournament is that it's only luchadors comprised inside of these brackets. And the first match out of it was Penta versus Laredo Kid in the first match of the evening. Now, what I found interesting here, because I don't watch AAA, you and Tommy do, and you and Soto do. Shout out to Soto619. But when it comes down to it, it's not my thing. I get a lot of wrestling. You guys know how busy I am with my schedule. So I leave the AAA stuff to you guys. Anything I know about it comes from you guys, our clips, and things of that nature. So I didn't know about Laredo Kid. I wasn't sure if he was a face or a heel, but he was definitely wrestling and giving out to the crowd like a face. So I found it very interesting when the crowd was booing him for the first 1.5 third of this match, maybe, where no matter what he did, every time he got offense in, every time he was in control of Penta, he's getting booed. And I thought, well, that's interesting because he's playing to the crowd and the crowd is rejecting him. And all that told me was, man, this really feeds into just how much these fans love Penta. These guys had a great match, very competitive, back and forth. Laredo Kid, really good showing here. To me personally, he's kind of one of the few that's come from AAA that's beaten that main roster debut stigma where I don't know if they get cold feet or they have off nights, but like they botched the first fucking match they'll have when they come up and do a showcase on WWE TV. We saw it with Mr. Iguana. We saw it with that other guy who would come up with Mr. Iguana. And we just saw like a lot of these guys seem to mess up somewhere in their offense. But Laredo Kid was on point, hitting just incredible high-flying moves here, extremely intricate springboards, and I thought him and Penta had a lot of great chemistry. Penta still wound up getting the win with the Mexican Destroyer here after reversing some kind of, I want to say, tornillo. I've done that move when I was in gymnastics, and that we call it a front full, but it was some kind of spinning tornillo, and he reversed it, stands up, gets hit by the Mexican Destroyer, 1, 2, 3. And they showed some good sportsmanship after the match, but I thought this was a great first match in this tournament. How did you guys feel about this matchup? And did you guys catch Laredo getting booed?
I did catch Laredo getting booed, and I was a little bit shocked on that because Laredo Kid is beloved in AAA. He really is. But this is a phenomenal way of showing off your AAA talent since you just bought the company a little bit, like 2 years ago, I believe it was. So there's that. Yeah, a little bit less than that then. But there you go. This is a way to show off the roster there and to show how good AAA actually is. Now, I don't watch it as much as Snug and Soto do. I do watch it from time to time, but I do already have a prediction on how this tournament is going to end. Snug, I think Soto's right. I think that the finals may end up being Penta and Rey Fenix, just to have that brother versus brother right there, just for the number one contendership. Penta wins, and I would not mind seeing Penta versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, this is one of the things I was really looking forward to because, yeah, I've been watching AAA consistently, and I thought it's really great that we're going to be seeing some of these names on Monday Night Raw in the main roster on a way bigger stage, and a lot of these guys are really deserving. Laredo Kid is definitely one of them. He's a heel currently in AAA, but that doesn't really matter because, I mean, the history will tell you that whatever they do in AAA, you can come up to the main roster. You can be the biggest babyface in AAA, come up to the main roster and get booed. You know, Dominic Mysterio, he's the biggest heel in the main roster, but he goes down to AAA and he gets cheered. So
El Grande Americano, Ludwig's nothing on the main roster, down in AAA. He's a fucking star.
Yeah, so I think I want to believe that some of the fans in that arena in Norfolk, Virginia watch AAA and they've been following and that's why they were booing Laredo Kid. But honestly, I just think that's how over Penta is. Like, that's just how much he's loved, that they're just going to automatically cheer for Penta and boo anyone else who he's in the ring with, especially if it's somebody new like Laredo Kid, who, you know, this was his first match on Monday Night Raw. But yeah, Laredo Kid, he is a veteran. I think they even mentioned it during this match that he has 5 years of experience on Penta. So he's one of the top guys in AAA. So it made perfect sense for him to be here. It also made perfect sense for Penta to go over. I mean, this was one of the most predictable matches for me in the whole tournament compared to the other ones. But they let Laredo Kid do his thing, who he's been getting over as a heel. And I mean getting over as a heel as far as like he's way more interesting now. Kind of like Dominic Mysterio, right? This is the same thing with Laredo Kid. Super huge babyface, but they turned him heel. And now he's getting more attention. Now he's winning titles. So yeah, man, I was really glad to see him here. Great match. The right guy won. Perfect showcasing for AAA. And I can't wait to see the other matches.
I gotta be honest though. You said that this match was predictable for you, most predictable in the tournament in the brackets. I'm gonna take that a step further and say this entire tournament's predictable. There's no one on that list that I can truly believe that they would put over against having a match with Roman Reigns more than Penta. WWE is going to WWE. They're going to highlight AAA, but they're not going to sit there and try to pretend that they believe AAA is on the same level as their main roster talent. They're not going to. They're going to use this tournament to prop up AAA, get people to tune into AAA, increase their viewership, pop their ratings, and then they're going to make sure that at the end of the day, the main roster, WWE, beloved figure in that of Penta is the biggest name in this tournament in that bracket. That's the biggest match you can put on. And WWE has said it a million times. We're always about putting on the biggest match possible. Penta versus Roman is right there. Because as much as I love Dragon Lee, which we'll get into here later, Dragon Lee is not winning this tournament. That being said, let's move on to the second match of the night, which completely forgot about, because they had set this up last week. Austin Theory versus Akira Tozawa. Now, this match went on for a lot longer than I think most people genuinely would have probably anticipated. Not a lot of people put a lot of stock into Akira in the WWE span of his career. That being said, I've said this a million times. I'm a massive Akira defender and fan. You go back to his Japan run, Akira Tozawa is a fucking monster. They have him playing the comedy fodder guy in the main roster, which is something he's clearly good at, and he's good at being funny. He's good at being charming. He does make you believe. He does do great hope spots, but the comparison between main roster WWE present day Akira and the one that had the runs in Japan that he's just that got him so popular in the first place is why they brought him over to NXT. It's night and day. But we got shades of that Akira tonight against Austin Theory. He showed up. He put on great offense. He made Austin sweat a little bit. Unfortunately, it's the numbers game. We know that they've taken out Otis, so he doesn't have any backup. And he's dealing with, Logan. He's dealing with Maxine. He's dealing with Austin. You could argue the most interesting part about this entire match is that of Braun Breaker's demeanor on the outside, who seemed very uninterested in anything they were doing out there. He seemed so in his own world, in his own bubble, like all of this was a waste of time for him, like he had bigger fish to fry. And obviously Theory gets the win with a great finish, by the way. I'm trying to remember what they named his finishing maneuver, but that like extremely aggressive discus forearm smash right into a pin was, I thought, just looked amazing. So hats off to Theory and hats off to Tozawa for selling the hell out of it. But afterwards, they continue to try and do a beat down on Akira. And again, Braun seems extremely uninterested until they're going to smash Akira with a chair. And, they empty out some of the back, the producers, Pierce is out there. And then we cut to Braun Breaker, who's just randomly in the ring, lining up a spear to put Akira in the grave. And then the lights go down, doom, doom. And it's Oba fucking Femi coming out. And he comes out. Austin tries to get him on the ramp. He fucking big boots Austin's ass, walks straight to the ring, gets up on the apron, gets in the ring. And before these two, that being Braun and Oba, can really get their hands on each other and give us some great TV, they cuck us and they separate them. And that's how this segment ended. I get trying to keep them separated a little bit so you can build up anticipation. But I do also feel like we did that last week. They passed each other on the ramp. They didn't touch each other. no separation was required, but they just walked past each other like ships in the night and didn't bother each other. And there is a segment later we'll get into between Paul and Braun, but we're not doing that now. But what did you guys think of the match and the subsequent attitude of Braun Breaker? Because I feel like this match was used as a stepping platform for the feud between Braun and Oba.
Overall, Austin Theory winning was not a surprise to me whatsoever. I mean, just look at the physique between these two, and you can obviously see that Austin Theory 100% has the damn advantage between the two of them. But I will say, Tozawa put in a whole lot more offense than I thought he would. Like, he did go in there, put in that offense. I'm like, you actually are putting in something against Theory. So I was a little bit shocked on that. But then you got Oba Femi and Braun Breaker, in which there was a couple of backstage segments where Breaker was specifically going in on Oba, one of which we'll talk about later. The other one was before this match, and it was a little interview going on in which everybody else, the rest of the division, walked off to get ready for the match, and then Braun Breaker stood there, in which he was asked, "Hey, do you have anything to say at this moment?" He says, "Yes. Do you think that Oba Femi is the future?" In which his response was, "Well, that's what Brock said." And Breaker's response was, "You sound like Paul," in which we'll get to that here later. So I do find that very, very interesting that Braun Breaker is fully set on going up against Oba Femi, and with their NXT history, I'm not going to mind it at all. I love just the thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for the segment with good old Oba Femi and Braun Breaker at the end of the match, because I wasn't a fan of this match at all between Akira Tozawa and Austin Theory. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Austin Theory. I'm glad he's getting TV time. He's a tag team champion, all that good stuff. But then in the other hand, it's like, man, like the downfall of Austin Theory, it's been a crazy ride. You know, former US champion, wrestled Cena at WrestleMania, and now he's, in this storyline with Maxine and the Alpha Academy. And everything that happened before that too, like him being with Grayson Waller, it's just like, damn, man, like what could have been of Austin Theory if none of that shit actually happened, right? Because even the thing with Maxine Dupree, like we all know she's married, this storyline is bullshit. And even because we watch NXT, we see a lot of the NXT stars making fun of Cam Hendricks, who's Maxine Dupree's real husband in real life. And he's got to play along with it. And it's just like this whole storyline with Maxine is just, it's starting to be ridiculous to me. Like I'm not buying it. I want to because I like Austin Theory. I understand that this is entertainment. I understand that this is a storyline, but also at the same time, it's cringy as fuck, man. Like
it does feel forced sometimes between Austin and Maxine. Like it feels like they're trying too hard to be into it. Like the constant jumping on each other, the nuzzling of the noses, shit that people don't do.
yeah.
And it's just a little too much.
Yeah. And I maybe it's different because when it comes to Dom and Liv, because we all know Dom is married, right, in real life, but she's not in the wrestling business. So I guess it's different. We can kind of buy into it a little bit more, but the way that Dom and Liv do it, it's at least a little bit more, I guess, believable. It's not as cringy as what fucking Austin Theory and Maxine are doing. I don't know.
I think it's also because we got so used to Dom doing it with Rhea, and then we got it with Liv. So we were already used to it from his first couple. Then he's with Liv. And now, I got to be honest, like they barely, if you notice, we barely seen Dom and Liv on screen together in segments like that in a very long time. Like they used to give it to us on the weekly basis, sometimes multiple times a show. I can't think of the last time we actually saw like Dom and Liv like together, jumping on each other, hugging and nuzzling and all this other shit. Like I like the last time that comes to my mind is when she returned against Cena versus Dom last year. That's the last time I like really remember it. That being said, I do completely understand where you are coming from on this, and moving from a segment that you thought was cringe to one that I thought was cringe. And that'd be the Stephanie Vaquer segment. Stephanie Vaquer is finally back. She comes out. And I understand it's a language barrier thing. I understand, she's from Chile. She's got a very broken style of English. But this felt extremely passionless to me. She came across extremely monotone. And again, completely understand language barrier. She's trying to make sure she's saying the English properly, so the fans and the attendants understand. But the fans were trying to give her some support, but then they just kind of gave up. She's then interrupted by Becky, who comes out and, like it's just, then it gets worse because I feel like fans now don't buy Becky as a baby face because we've seen her as a heel for the last like year and a half. And now they just don't care about big time Bex or whatever version of Becky Lynch she is now. Like they gave these women nothing the entire time Becky's cutting the promo. The fans are giving them like 10% energy. Becky says, look, they want the same thing, right? They both want to beat the shit out of Liv. Becky compliments Stephanie, says, hey, look, you've made a big impact on Raw, especially for the limited amount of time you seem to be here because you spend more time not here than actually here. Becky then prods at Stephanie, Stephanie saying, if your body, you're maybe like wonders if like Vaquer's body can't handle the pressure, can't handle the competition on Raw. And so her mind is like bending under the pressure. And then that's why she keeps going away on these little mental breaks. Becky says Vaquer doesn't deserve the title, that, like you don't deserve it. I built it. That title deserves me. Stephanie warns Becky to stay out of her way. This results in Liv trying to jump Becky when Vaquer gets out of the ring. Becky throws her backwards in an over-the-head T-bone suplex. Stephanie comes back in as if she was going to try to help Becky, but then they wind up getting in each other's faces. This was cringe to me. It was cringe to me because I didn't buy a fucking thing that came out of Stephanie's mouth. It was very monotone, very by the numbers. I've heard her say this shit 15 times. Thank you for the fans. Oh, Judgment Day is scared of me. I've been listening to her say this shit since 2 months before WrestleMania. And then like you come back and the very first thing out of your mouth is everything we heard you say about Liv before you left. It's been 4.5 months, 4 months, whatever. And then you got Becky out here saying the same shit we've heard her say in babyface promos for the last 9 years. Like there was nothing of note here. And the fans didn't care about either one of the promos from either of these women. How did you guys feel about this? Because I was like, this would have all have been better as a video package.
As much as I would love to agree with you on that, I don't. Because it's good to see that face-to-face that we're getting. And honestly, I would not mind seeing Stephanie Vaquer versus Becky Lynch. But let's be honest, this is going to end up being a triple threat. There's no doubt about it at this point. It's going to end up being Liv, Stephanie, and Becky Lynch for that world title. But what I find very, very interesting about this, I wonder if WWE is going to cut anything that Becky said, because last week they sure as hell did. I saw a video saying that Becky Lynch's line on Liv sleeping with Dom was cut from the replay. So we talked about it, but if you rewatch that clip, it's nowhere to be seen. So it's very, very clear to me that this is going to end up being a triple threat. Becky's not going to hold back. Neither is Stephanie. Liv has a lot on her plate. I can't wait to see what happens next out of this.
Yeah, I get where you guys are coming from. Yes, Stephanie Vaquer, she has to memorize her lines a lot because, English is not her strongest language, obviously, right? So yeah, the lines are very memorized. However, she's still doing a lot better in these promos than a lot of the people who English is their second language. People like Io Sky, people like Shinsuke Nakamura, even Penta or Rey Fenix. I think Stephanie Vaquer, she gets more mic time because her English is just better than all those people that I just named. So I can't just hate on her because I understand that, she's memorizing the lines, but she's doing it well. And so I got to give her props for that. I also really enjoyed the promo exchange that she had with Becky Lynch because Becky Lynch also pointed out some truths about Stephanie Vaquer. She's like, hey, you've made a huge impact, Stephanie, since you came in, for the short amount of time that you're actually here, pointing out the fact that, this is the second or third time Stephanie Vaquer has come and left due to injury. And she's like, and you think that you deserve the Women's World Championship? No, it needs to be with somebody like me, someone that is going to be here, basically someone who doesn't get injured as much as you, which is true. So there's already some real tension being built between Stephanie Vaquer and Becky Lynch. I hope this doesn't turn into a fucking triple threat situation. I would much rather see Stephanie Vaquer versus Becky Lynch and number one contender faces Liv or something like that. Because I would like to see Stephanie Vaquer versus Becky Lynch. The people also love Stephanie, so anytime she can come out there and people see her in person, I think it's good for WWE fans and WWE TV. So I like this. And I like that Becky Lynch is getting cheered now too. That's a version of Becky Lynch that we haven't seen in a while. Yeah, man. And we needed this because Liv Morgan used to be the most interesting thing in the women's division on Raw. And now, at least for me, now, we have something more to look forward to.
I get what you're saying. I honestly wish they would have done something more to have justified Becky being a babyface again after a straight year and a half of being a heel. Because for me, it's just I feel like they only brought her back as a face randomly. By the way, this was very random for her to come back as a face last week because of all the star power they just moved over to SmackDown. So now they need bigger baby faces on Raw. And she's going to be one of the biggest baby faces in the women's division. That being said, again, I wasn't hating on Stephanie. I was pointing out that even if she's memorizing her lines and she's doing a great job doing it, sure, yeah, great, fantastic. She can still work on putting emotion into those lines because she just sounds extremely monotone. When it also came down to it, I find it funny that Becky sitting here pointing out all the action and time that Stephanie's missed. And it's like, Becky, I haven't seen you in how long had it been? Like a month and a half, 2 months. And then before Mania, she was only on Raw whenever AJ was there to promote the Intercontinental Championship. And that was every several weeks in between. So I find that very hypocritical. And I would have bought that if Becky was a heel still, not a baby face trying to spout, self-righteousness. And it's like, Becky, you've been gone on and off quite a bit too, because you're also part-time now because you have a kid at home. So let's not shit all over Stephanie for that one. But moving on to the match that I tuned out of for the majority of it. And I tuned out of Dominic Mysterio versus Dragon Lee because this was set up in a backstage segment where Ray's getting interviewed, and she's asking Ray, he's the general manager of AAA, how he feels about the bracket, about setting up this tournament for the number one contendership for Roman Reigns World Heavyweight Championship. And all of a sudden he's interrupted by Dragon Lee, who comes over and starts, saying thank you and asking or telling Ray how much it means to him, which I thought was funny because I'm like, you couldn't text him this. You just interrupted his TV time to thank him. You couldn't shoot him a text. Okay. You have his number. You guys are friends. But like, then of course he's glazing, and Dominic interrupts the glaze and is basically bitching about not having a spot in the number one contendership because he's literally their mega champion on AAA. Why is he not in the bracket? And Ray goes, well, I didn't think you need another handout. That's what already made you a jackass in the first place. Great line. Of course, this means Dom insulting Dragon Lee standing up for Rey Mysterio, and then challenging Dom to a match. Now, here's why I wasn't into this match. Because I've seen this formula with Dominic 1,000 times. Ray's backstage. Someone is talking to Ray. Dom insults Ray. Someone in the Lucha Libre house stands up for Ray's honor. They make a match for the night. How many times has that fucking happened in the last year? A lot, right? So, and also, I'm pretty sure it's happened with Dragon Lee before. So, like, with me, I was like, I don't give a fuck. So I admittedly scrolled on my phone for the majority of this match and only looked up every couple of minutes. Dragon Lee gets the win clean, by the way. So they had Dragon Lee pin the AAA Mega Champion, and that of Dominic Mysterio, someone who was a Intercontinental Champion as well, former tag champion. I mean, he's on his way to Grand Slam here in a couple of years. They had Dragon Lee, who's done damn near all of fuck nothing on the main roster, who was touted as the next Rey Mysterio, even though his son is right here. And the last notable thing Dragon Lee did was tag with AJ Styles. And he gets a clean win over one of the biggest, most popular stars on Raw and AAA. And this leads to a beatdown backstage after the match with Big Cass, who for the second week in a row, last week it was Javon Evans, this time it's Dragon Lee, beats the shit out of a competitor, that being this week Dragon Lee, who just already wrestled a whole ass match. And here's the problem I have with this Big Cass thing, because all the people were on my ass when I said no one wants Big Cass without Enzo. We did a whole video on it, right? And half the comments, if not most of the comments, I'd say about 80% of the comments agreed with me. And then I had the other half saying, well, I'm pretty sure that was Enzo who voiced over his video package. And I was like, no, it wasn't. And then everybody's like, oh, well, they're probably going to just debut him with him. And then, of course, he debuts as a heel, and there's no Enzo in sight. Now everybody's on their keyboard like the Kermit the Frog meme. They should have had Enzo with him. They should have had Enzo with him. And I said, see, I told you no one would give a fuck without Enzo. Oh, so this is boring for me. Big Cass looks great, looks monstrous, looks jacked, looks intense. But hard for me to sit here and think you're some big, bad badass when you're beating up people after they've already been fully exhausted, and the only people you're going after are extremely small high flyers. So like, okay, Javon makes the save, doesn't work. Big Cass stands tall, walks off, and I thought, I've seen this 1,000 times before with Rusev, because that's exactly how Rusev re-debuted. Just coming out, beating the shit out of the high flyers for no fucking reason. So pick a new thing, guys. Sometimes the old is new again shit, WWE, doesn't mean the shit you just used last year. That's not old. That's just last year. Try something new or offer Enzo a contract. That's all I'm saying, because I see this going downhill real quick for Big Cass, as great as he is, and he is great. This is not the way that he should be packaged. The fans want to get behind him. They want to support him, but they want to support him one way and one way only, and that is with Enzo Amore. Tell me I'm wrong.
You are 100% not wrong. Like, you're really, really not. Overall, it was a great match. There was one spot I was a little bit worried about, which is when Dragon Lee got his leg caught on the top rope. I'm like, ooh, that is quite the fall right after, too. So, got a little bit worried on that. But overall, it was a great match. And when it comes to Big Cass, here's my problem. The attack on Javon Evans a couple of weeks ago, that made sense. It really did. It made perfect sense on it because of the fact that, hey, you were attacking somebody who was absolutely in contendership for the Intercontinental title. Why the fuck did you randomly decide to attack Dragon Lee? That one is the one that made no sense to me.
Well, damn, people. I mean, he literally, Big Cass just got there a couple weeks ago. Like, we can't really just say, oh, people don't care about him. It's only been 2 weeks. Give it a little bit more time. Let's see where this thing goes. I mean, he's looking pretty monstrous still. Yes, he's attacking smaller guys, but, you know, he attacked Javon Evans after his match. Now he attacked Dragon Lee after his match. Javon Evans comes out for the save, and, you know, Big Cass lays out Javon Evans. Javon Evans is he's no easy pickings here. This is Javon Evans. He's a big deal on Monday Night Raw. So the way that he got flattened, and this was probably done on purpose, so, you know, they can show that the massive size of Big Cass compared to, you know, someone like Javon Evans, who's a lot smaller, right? It makes Big Cass look more like a monster, more like a heel. I mean, could we see Big Cass and Enzo show up to, you know, get together one day? Yeah, maybe down the road, but again, like we made the comparison with the Lucha Brothers, it took over a year for them to get, you know, put together. We still haven't seen it on TV. It's going to happen eventually. You know, I say just give us some time, and maybe they'll surprise us with something really good with Big Cass. I mean, they did with Baron Corbin. We're liking Baron Corbin. So we'll see what happens with Big Cass. But yeah, when it comes to the match with Dominic Mysterio and Dragon Lee, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, I love Dragon Lee, right? I love Dom. I love the stuff they've been doing in AAA. But at the same time, you're right. We've seen this formula millions of times. Dominic Mysterio disrespects his dad, and then you have one of the luchadors defend Rey Mysterio, either Penta or Dragon Lee. They're going to beat some respect into Dominic Mysterio. We've seen it millions of times. However, I was not expecting Dragon Lee to get the pin on Dominic Mysterio. That's a big deal, especially in AAA. I don't know if that will actually go into play, but Dragon Lee can say, I just pinned the AAA Mega Champion Dominic Mysterio, and usually in pro wrestling, that means you're the number one contender. So it was a good match. Dragon Lee looked good. He got the win, and hopefully that puts him closer to a AAA Mega Championship title shot at some point, I'm hoping. But yeah, other than the way that this match was set up, I thought everything made sense to me.
Well, you know, if Dragon Lee does wind up getting a number one contender shot against Dominic Mysterio, that's just going to feel good. And speaking of feeling good, the sponsor for this week's episode of Monday Night Raw Review on Snug Wrestling's podcast is Good Feels, actually. So if you're looking to unwind without the hangover or the haze, you got to check out Good Feels. These are THC-infused seltzers made with all natural ingredients, clean, crisp, and consistent every time. It's the perfect way to relax, kick back, or just vibe with friends without the usual drawbacks of alcohol or traditional THC consumption. Each can's crafted to give you that uplifting, balanced feel, whether you're chilling at home or out with the crew. And because you listen to Snug Wrestling, you get 20% off your order at shop.goodfeels.com. I repeat, that's shop.getgoodfeels.com. Just use the code SNUG, S-N-U-G, at checkout for the highest exclusive offer you won't find anywhere else. In full transparency, we earn a small commission when you use that code, but it helps keep the show going and gets you the best deal available. That's Good Feels at shop.getgoodfeels.com. Real chill, no hangover. 21 and up only.
All right, let's move on to the next match, Mr. Blood.
All righty. So the next match, which again, just a match I kind of checked out of. That would have been Roxanne and Raquel tagging against Io and Sol. Now, why did I check out of this, you say? Well, honestly, I kind of get annoyed when we start putting our singles champions immediately in tag team shit right after they win a singles title. Raquel is now the new women's intercontinental champion. And I would have much rather preferred her either come out and cut a promo, bolstering herself up, talking herself up, and setting up some more, whatever in line for her feud that she's going to have with either of these women for this championship, rather than, hey, out of nowhere, you guys are in a tag match because of a backstage segment, setting up an impromptu match again, where Sol calls out a mystery partner, which is Io Sky. And then, of course, we get a match between these four women, Roxanne, Raquel versus Io and Sol. The match was good. It was fine. It was quick. Io and Sol got the win. So they got their win back after the beatdown that they had suffered at the hands of the Judgment Day not too many weeks ago. I think last week, if I'm correct. And then this also cuts to a backstage segment that I'll cover very quickly, where they're walking on their own and they're basically stopped by Lyra Valkyria looking like a crackhead with just walked through a grease factory, because this woman's like just shiny as fuck from the nose up, looking up and down at Sol, mad that Sol's trying to, I don't know, better her career. And then she just basically threatens Sol, saying, you better be very careful trying to go for the same thing I'm going for. And I just thought this was really stupid. I thought the match was fine, but the Lyra shit is dumb as fuck to me. And I'll tell you why. Lyra's angry at Sol because Sol was a champion, got fucked over and played out of her title by the numbers game. And Lyra, who hasn't held the championship in over a year, is mad that Lyra had fucking goals and shit. Like that reminds me that the Boondocks, the Boondocks show, the cartoon, where the dad hits the kid and he goes, "I catch you wanting to be somebody," and smacks the kid across the room. And I'm just like, Lyra, you're mad at her for what? Fucking having aspirations? Lyra literally goes, You better not try to go for the same title I'm going for. You better stay out of my way. And I just thought, Lyra, go smoke some more rock, go to sleep, and chill out. I think Lyra's entire new character, I might be in the minority here, I think she's cringe as fuck right now. But that being said, how'd you guys feel about the match and the crackhead Lyra stuff afterwards backstage?
The match itself was decent. I was not expecting Io Sky. If anything, I was expecting a newly left NXT member, Lola Vice. That's who I was expecting to show up. But then again, they may put her with her boyfriend on SmackDown, that boyfriend being Damian Priest. So maybe that's where they decide to put her. But when it comes to the Lyra Valkyria shit, that I hate this, because Sol is right. Lyra, ever since losing that Intercontinental title, what the fuck have you done? You've done nothing to make you actually believe that you have a chance at the Intercontinental title, that you deserve a fucking title shot. You haven't done shit.
Oof. Yeah, this match, actually, I liked it a lot more than I expected. I wasn't too surprised about the decision to partner up Sol with Io Sky. They're two very popular stars in the women's division, right? The WWE fans really love both of them. So it was a fun tag team to see them with similar styles, right? Both have very high flying, exciting type wrestling styles, right? Um, and it makes sense. Raquel defeated Sol Ruca for the women's intercontinental title. Sol Ruca is still going after it, so we might see that. But when I was watching this match, I was thinking, you know who I would like to see go after that Intercontinental Champion? Who I would like to see become Intercontinental Champion is Io Sky. I think Io Sky would be the perfect person for that championship. Because although I love Raquel and I'm so happy that she's the Intercontinental Champion, is she even going to defend it? I mean, it's been, what, 3 weeks now? And she hasn't defended it yet. I'm afraid they're going to do the same thing with her than with Liv Morgan, where she just holds it and she's not doing much with it. I mean, so far it's been 3 weeks. And again, I love Raquel, but she hasn't done anything with it. And I'm not saying like she has to defend it every week, but like, what's I'm
It
kind
is a
of
trend. It's a trend. I mean, it's the whole women's division, man. Like, I think the only titles that maybe in the women's division that might get defended more regularly, if anything, is the women's tag team titles. Other than that, the IC title almost never defended. The US title almost never defended. And if it is defended, it's defended on free TV on USA and never on a PLE. We have Liv, who's been hoarding that title since Mania, and she's defended it once, I think, now finally. And then we have Jade, who didn't defend it for 100 fucking days. Rhea won it, got injured immediately and couldn't defend it at all, and then held it in limbo until they decided to do the ladder match. And now Chelsea's injured. So, like, you're not wrong.
There's also no indication as to who is Raquel going to defend it with. Like, who is she feuding with? Sol Ruca, the person that she already defeated for the title. So what? Now we're going to see a rematch for that? Like, we already seen that. I want to see Raquel prove what she can do. She's a badass. She's a monster. She's really good. I want to see her prove that with the Intercontinental Championship, you know? So
I
I'm
want to see
hoping,
Roxanne turn on her and go for it.
yeah,
I went
that's
on
another
that
thing
story
too.
thread.
Yeah, that's another thing too. They're still building up the fact that Liv Morgan is kind of like belittling Roxanne and just calling her her friend and comparing her to Raquel, who's her sister, her best friend, whatever. So they're still kind of playing along with that. But yeah, man, like I'm afraid that I'm just not going to care for this title reign for Raquel, and that's going to suck. And if that's the case, man, at least if Io Sky is the champion, I mean, I think that might be more interesting. I don't, I just have that feeling, you know. But we have Soul going after it, Lyra going after it. I haven't seen much of Lyra's new character enough to really have an opinion on it. I mean, the backstage segments are not really doing it for me. I need to see more from that to really get behind it or at least understand it, but we'll see what happens. And so Ruca got the win in this match. She hit her good old soul snatcher, and she looked really good. She looked really strong coming after this match. Soul Ruca did, and just like our coffee, we like our coffee strong, just like our women in the WWE. This episode of Snug Wrestling is brought to you by the Strong Coffee Company. Strong Coffee Company makes premium instant coffee blends for people who want the convenience and the great taste and just more out of their morning cup of coffee. Strong Coffee Company, they have their black fair trade instant coffee, which delivers a bold, smooth flavor while packing 15 grams of high quality proteins, 5 grams of MCTs, and 250 milligrams of adaptogens. It's designed to support sustained energy, focus, and alertness without the usual jitters or afternoon crash. If you prefer something creamier, Strong Coffee Company lattes combine organic Arabica coffee with protein, collagen, and healthy fats to help value your mind and body throughout the whole entire day. It's quick to prepare. It's easy to fit in your busy schedule. It tastes like a traditional cup of coffee, but it really isn't a traditional cup of coffee. So use the promo code SNUG at checkout to receive 20% off your order. That's promo code SNUG for 20% off at Strong Coffee Company.
All right. Well, moving on to a quick backstage segment. This was an interesting segment. To me, it might have been one of the best parts of the show. Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman backstage. Braun walks up to Heyman, and he finally asks the question that he's been mulling over in his head all night. Braun asks Heyman if he thinks Oba Femi is the future or not. Heyman then says, well, look, I respect Oba because he did everything he said he was going to do when he was facing Brock. And Braun asks Heyman again, stating, don't give me that. That's not the question I asked you. I'm going to ask you again, and I want your honest answer. And he asks him again, and Heyman does what Heyman always does. He manipulates, right? He turns it around on you and gives another non-answer. And he tells Braun, I think if you want to know so badly, I think it's because you think Oba maybe is the future. I'll tell you what, Braun, if you can prove to me that Oba isn't worthy of my respect, then you'll have your answer. And I thought this was very interesting because in this same segment, Heyman tells Braun that I love you in this business and I love you out of this business. He does care for Braun, but he's also willing to make it clear, as he has as of late with the Vision, that if you guys do nothing for me professionally, if you're not bringing something to the table that's worthy of my time, I have no time to spend nor waste on you. And I think it's very clear as to why now they've moved Heyman from the Vision stuff and focused him more on Oba Femi, because the Vision is very quickly become an undercard act, something it was never meant to be, by the way. And it's really only being floated by that of Austin Theory and Maxine Dupree. Logan's still injured, but he's showing up now so he can add his star power back to the segments. But they are very much an undercard act here. So that's not worth Heyman's time, and Heyman knows it. So I like that Heyman basically, though he shows respect to Braun, he basically says, you need to do something to prove to me that I should have no faith, nor trust, nor respect in that of Oba Femi at all. And then I will believe you're the future. What did you guys think of this segment?
I found this very interesting because it once again pushes forward the narrative that we at some point will 100% be getting Braun Breaker versus Oba Femi, and that is a fucking dream match right there. Like, even with their NXT history, I would love to see that on the main roster, especially with everything that Braun has been through. And with the fact that Oba Femi just went through Brock Lesnar and made the Beast acknowledge him. So there is that. But other than that, unfortunately, the Vision is cursed. They've been cooled off so many fucking times because one of them gets injured all the damn time. And that's the biggest problem I have with the Vision. It's the fact that they are so injury prone.
Yeah, I read this one a little bit different, this backstage segment. I got the feeling that Paul Heyman is finally going to start focusing on someone else now that Brock Lesnar is officially retired. Maybe he's going to start focusing more on Braun Breaker, because Braun Breaker in this segment, he went up to Paul Heyman and he was kind of talking down to Paul Heyman. He was like asking him, like, do you think Oba Femi's the future? But asking him like, hey, you better say the right thing type thing. Like, he was kind of testing Paul Heyman. And then Paul Heyman answered and he's like, no. Braun Breaker's like, no. That's not what I asked. And I'm going to ask you again. So that was a complete change as to what we've been seeing from Paul Heyman lately, who Paul Heyman has kind of just been like brushing off the vision a little bit. But now Paul Heyman is like, yes, Mr. Breaker. No, Mr. Breaker. So now I felt like Paul Heyman was showing Braun Breaker a little bit more respect than he has been the past few weeks. So I'm hoping Paul Heyman aligns himself more with Braun Breaker and really makes Braun Breaker a Paul Heyman guy, right? But when it comes to Obafemi, man, it just feels like Obafemi is doing everything and anything else in the whole entire world except the world heavyweight title, going after that thing, which is the most important thing, the highest prize in pro wrestling. But Obafemi's like, I'll wait on that, I guess. But yeah, I like this. I like this feud. I like where this is going with Braun Breaker and Obafemi.
The only thing I gotta say about the Braun Breaker and Obafemi thing, I want to see this feud, man, and I want to see Braun Breaker versus Obafemi bad. I think this could do wonders rehabilitating Braun's momentum in the fans' eyes. But I'll be damned. You better not put this shit on Saturday night's main event. I swear to fucking God, bro. You need to build this shit for Money in the Bank at least. Because I know no one wants to see this built all the way until Survivor Series. Because that's the last big show of the year of the big four. But God help me. This shit, these guys, you want to tout them as the future. They're up and coming. And I know Cena did that shit with his last Saturday night's main event. This ain't Cena's farewell tour. Do not put Obafemi and Braun Breaker's first ever main roster square up on fucking Saturday night's main event. Give them the biggest stage possible. This better not be on a Monday Night Raw or some shit like that. This shit needs to be built and happen at least at a big PLE like Money in the Bank, especially if you can't wait until Survivor Series. But you would be doing them such a disservice to put this on Saturday night's main event. I'm just throwing that out there. All right, moving on to the main event. Jey Uso versus Solo Sikoa. If Jey wins, he hand delivers Solo Sikoa to Roman Reigns next week. If Solo wins, the rest of the bloodline have to kiss his ass and leave him alone. Well, Jey won because Jimmy interfered, causing a distraction not once but twice. Again, because none of us seem to know if these guys are heels or faces, I find it interesting. In fact, I'd like to point to some evidence as to what the bloodline actually is. I was on my trip to the convention last week where I was a celebrity guest at. And on that 13-hour drive, I was listening to wrestling podcasts back to back to back to back. And one of them was Michael Cole getting interviewed on Stephanie McMahon's podcast at Fanatics Fest. And Michael Cole said, and he would know, by the way, because he's the lead broadcast announcer. He said, well, Roman Reigns, the bloodline, they're tweeners. It's a little bit more this than that. Michael Cole himself confirmed that they are tweeners. Because Jimmy and Jey, Jey specifically wrestled like a heel in this match, even when they're in the corner and the ref is splitting them up like, hey, you got to get them out of the corner for the 5 count. Jey took an opportunity and hit Solo around the ref to take a cheap shot. That's heel tactic. Jey tried to wrestle like a heel. Jimmy interfered and caused distraction on the apron like a heel, not once, but twice, resulting in a Samoan spike to the throat, which let Jey hit off that second spear for the pin. And of course, that means Solo is being hand delivered to the bloodline next week. So my thing is, though, they're tweeners because the fans still cheer for them. They do heel tactics, but then they still have a lot of babyface reasoning. It's not like they're making up lies or nothing. They mean the shit they say. They're doing the shit they're doing. They're trying to run this place. Can't play nice with everybody. But I did find that interesting that Michael Cole did confirm that on that podcast last week. But what did you guys think of this match? I thought it was fine. I felt like the show ended very kind of abruptly. I was waiting on something else to happen. I don't know if you guys were, but basically they played Jay's music. Him and Jimmy just taunt Solo in a little, follow me train, a conga line around the ring, and then just copyright logo, and the show's over. It was a little abrupt, in my opinion. How did you guys feel about the end of the show?
Overall, this was a match that as soon as it happened, I'm like, like it overall was iffy for me. Of course, Jay did win, but yeah, sure, Solo's going to Roman, but do I see him fully falling in line? Absolutely not. I seriously do not see Solo Sikoa going back to Roman Reigns. I just don't.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, the show did end abruptly. Like I was expecting LA Knight to show up. He didn't. You know, he made it clear to Solo, hey, you know, we had a tag team match at SummerSlam. We hugged, but that was just a one time thing. So, but then I was fine with it because not every main event needs to end with a run in and a save and oh my god, let's brawl. Like no, like they got the point across. We had a clean, well, it wasn't a clean finish because Jimmy got involved, but we got a 1-2-3. We got a winner. We go off the air. I'm fine with that. I also really enjoyed this match because, you know, these are two brothers that have a lot of history, and I enjoyed the little homage that they paid to their father Rikishi during this match, which I thought was really nice. Um, and then you get the big surprise that hey, Solo, you lost, which means you got to go back to Roman Reigns. That's going to be interesting because the people were getting behind Solo Sikoa, and like Blood said, the bloodline, they're tweeners. So how is Solo Sikoa going to fit into that group? You know, when you have Jacob Fatu, who also was forced back to acknowledge Roman Reigns, but Jacob Fatu fell in line and he's playing his role as like the the defender of Roman Reigns, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how Solo how his role is going to what his role is going to be in the bloodline now, kind of like Tommy said. He going to fall in line? Maybe not completely. Is he still going to be his goofy self? Maybe. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen next. So I was fine with the main event.
Well, whatever happens next week, I know that Solo isn't going to just turn around and glaze Roman the way that Jacob Fatu has done a full 180, glazing and bending the knee, getting neutered like the good little werewolf that he is. But when it comes to Solo, I got a huge feeling that LA Knight is going to basically save Solo from the bloodline somehow. I think Solo is going to be real resistant. He's going to run his mouth too much, maybe get some hands put on him. And I think LA is going to come out and save him from them. Again, I feel like all this is still setting up and building to Survivor Series. But even though it still feels very early for a Survivor Series build at the same time, if that makes sense. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Snug Wrestling Podcast. That is the August 10th edition of 2026 Monday Night Raw from Norfolk, Virginia. The review in the books. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you for supporting the show as always. You can catch us live every Monday after Raw, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, and 6 o'clock Pacific for our NXT post-show reviews. Then every Thursday at those same times on TikTok Live, where we discuss random and relevant wrestling topics and answer your fan questions live. And every Sunday at those same times for our SmackDown post-show review. We do go live on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, and Kick for every live episode. But if you do miss the episodes live, you can always catch the video format versions of them on YouTube after the shows, and you can go over to Apple and Spotify where our entire library is available for you to catch up on all the Snug Wrestling episodes. Follow Snug Wrestling everywhere on all social media, Apple and Spotify once again, and grab your merch at teepublic.com/snug wrestling. That again is teepublic.com/snug wrestling. Until next time, folks, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug here with us on Snug Wrestling.